Good Monday morning, I'm MPJ and this is FunFunFunction. Today we are going to explore monads. Monads is a type of functor, so you need to know what a functor is before watching this episode, or it's not going to make sense. Thankfully, there is a FunFunFunction episode for that, which you can watch here. A disclaimer: a lot of the material out there on the interwebs talking about monads is very picky on the details. Talking about the exact monad laws and how the monad is implemented in Haskell. And I think that doing it with that level of detail and correctness is going to cause you to not see the forest for all the trees. So we're not gonna do that in this video. Instead, I'm going to try to make you get a sense of what the monad is and how it's used. So our objective here is to make you get the monad, not try to get every detail right, because you can learn that later once you've gotten the monad. So, what is a monad? Do you remember that Functor is something that implements map? A monad is a more powerful functor that also implements flatMap. That's the main thing about the monad. Which begs the question, what the hell is flatMap? What is flatMap good for? What is flat about flatMap? Before we get to that, I'm going to show you a little bit of code that uses streams. In case you're not familiar with streams, there is a handy episode that you can watch here. We are using BaconJS as our streaming library in this example. But streams are streams. All streaming libraries have similar functionality. What you see in this video will, for example, apply to RxJS or Highland or really any other streaming library that will be written. Let me just run this to show you what it outputs, and we start from there. So it outputs cat, meal, and trumpet. On line 2 here, we are creating a bus, which is the most basic type of stream in BaconJS. On line 7, 8, and 9, we push a couple of words onto the stream. These words are printed here by this console.log, which is inside this function, which is passed as a callback function to the onValue function of the stream, and this function is called every time a word is emitted on the stream, every time we call push. Absolutely nothing strange going on here. In the stream episode, we learned that streams are functors, and that means that we can map them. Let's do that and uppercase each word before we print it. Map word dot to uppercase. Bam, and we run that. Cat, meal, trumpet. Great. That is very useful in the enterprise world. But let's say that we want to use the Google Translate API to translate these words to Portuguese. Side note, I will be speaking at BrazilJS, the world's largest JavaScript conference, in August. Let's delete this code for now, and let's write a function that translates a single word to Portuguese using Google Translate API. Like a good TV chef, I have prepared some code. If you look at the last 2 lines here, you see that we call get Portuguese with a word, and then that will return a stream that we just call onValue on and pass it a callback, which will print each word. Let's run that. Hefesiao. My Portuguese is shite. The code uses fetch to do a GET request to the Google Translate API. If you're not yet familiar with how fetch works, I have linked a good article in the description that will get you up to speed. Fetch will return an ES6 promise. But we are working with BaconJS in our app, so we want our function to return a bacon stream. We can accomplish this by passing our promise to bacon from promise, which will return a bacon stream, which we subsequently return as the return value of the function. So the stream will be returned from this function now, and we call onValue on it with a callback word, and it gets printed. Now let's try to tie this together with the bus that we had before. I want to delete this. Going to add a few lines here. Let's create a stream. Bacon bus. Let's push some words. And we want to print these values out. So I'm going to go stream. And then we're going to call .map. And for every map we want to do, take each word, map over it. And we want to call get in Portuguese for that word. And when we get the value back from that, we want to console.log it out. Word. Let's run that and see what happens. Whoops! Seems like map is just giving us the individual stream items. The map is giving us these. And that's not what we wanted. We wanted the translated words. Functor and map, you have failed us. This is where the monad enters our story. Again, monad is a more powerful functor that also has flatMap. FlatMap works just like map, but it will also flatten the streams to return the values contained within the streams. So if we change the code here to use flatMap instead of map, see what happens. We get gato, refeciao, and trombeta. Ain't this cool? What flatMap does is that it will take the return stream here from that comes from getting Portuguese, and it will wait for that to resolve, you know, flatten it into its actual word value. It will take the stream, flatten it into the contained word value, and then it will pass it on to the onValue callback here. Let me change back to map for a second, just to give you like a rehearsal, and we run with the known test.js. That gives us the streams again, and this is because now here, get in Portuguese, that will return streams, and map will just take them and pass them on to onValue directly. It will not perform the flattening of the streams. And then we go back to flatMap and run it again. It will flatten the streams into the values contained within the streams. You might have heard that some people say that promises are monads. But here I am saying that monads are things that implement flatMap, and promises, they don't have flatMap, do they? Well, they do actually. It's just not called flatMap. It is called then. And this is one of those things that make monads seem a bit more complicated than they actually are. The flatMap has many names. Other names that you might have heard are bind and chain, but it is the same idea, it's the same implementation, it's just different names. You can actually see this in action in the fetch implementation here. Response.json here, this does not actually return an object literal that you might expect. No, this will return a promise, which then will flatten into its value, the parsed object literal, and it will pass it on to the callback of the next then, which is this. So parsed response here, this is not a promise anymore. This has now been flattened into the object literal, just the way we want it, and then we can call its individual properties and extract the translated word here. Now back to the stream. Remember that streams are functors, so we can map them. Let's do that, and we just call word.to uppercase. Boom, let's run that. So in summary, a monad is a functor, like stream, for instance, that implements flatMap in addition to map, which all functors implements. FlatMap has the same principle as map, with the exception that if the callback passed to flatMap returns a monad of the same type, you know, if we're calling flatMap on stream, it returns a stream monad, that stream monad will be flattened into its containing value before it's passed on. And that is why we can call map directly on this and get a plain word that we can uppercase here. That's all I got. Did this video make sense to you? Did this video make you get what a monad is? I will most likely do a follow-up to this video, so please post your questions and confusions down below, and I will try to address them in the next video. That would really help me if you did that. Speaking of which, do not miss that episode. Monday morning, 0800 GMT. If you don't feel like waiting that long, you can check out this playlist here with all the FunFunFunction episodes and see if something tickles your fancy in the meantime. I am MPJ, this is FunFunFunction. Until next Monday morning, stay curious.